What's good? Good evening. This is a very, I would say, interesting topic or show tonight here on Chaos Rain channel. As you know, I'm Chaos Rain, as always. Today stream is titled "The Miseducation of the Maggle." Now, as y'all know, I'm not familiar using these special, unique terms that's been, I would say, existence now for the last year by other men in this YouTube space. And, as you know, we as men, we're very creative when we come with new terminologies and words. The term itself, you could, I guess, look it up either by YouTube or Google what a Maggle is. But the purpose and the premise of this stream today is to really show a lie in regards to men of all groups, especially Black men, of this thing about what we select or pick in regards to the mating selection of men. And I find it very offensive for one particular man, which I'm going to share my video for y'all to watch. And it's done on the wonderful Miss Nikole Ali's channel. And the subject was very interesting in itself. And let me find what the name of the show is, of the stream is again. Kind of want to run off my mouth. Okay. I'm going to find it now. the stream itself, and mind you, I almost watched the whole entire stream, but I think I listened to enough, and I'm very distraught over it. Not really pleased about it. For this one particular man to sit here, throw terminology and terms, and maybe to keep this real, I should probably give my perspective of all this. And the way how I go about it, I might get some flack, possibly. And I say possibly. And I'm okay with that. But my thing is this, and stream it, what I've found now is the why smart man marries smart woman. And let's keep it real. When we talk about intelligence, intelligence varies. And really, in my view about this thing about smart and intelligence and all the categories, which I am not going to go pull up the dictionary off this computer, what their meanings. Y'all can look up yourself. But when in regards to men and women, we are not the same. So let's get this clear right now. So how we view mate selection is totally different from the opposite sex. As y'all know, as men, on the average, we deal with women that are cooperative, submissive, and supportive. And she has to look appealing, what we call sexy looking, for us to even feel aroused and sexy to like about her, to not only procreate, but to keep our interests. Remember, ladies, men are simple. So no further ado, as I share this. And I'm about to start this from the beginning. Should I do it on this? Matter of fact, I got something. Let me switch. I'm going to start this from the beginning, and there's going to be advertisement, which I'm going to hopefully to get rid of. So let me find the session, and I will begin. So stand by. Okay, I found it. The spot. How I'm gonna go about this? I think I'm going to just play between Nikole and the guy named Ray. And some part I might skip for commentary because it's a very lengthy stream. Yeah, that's the best way to go about it. So here we go. You can hear for yourself. Let's see. Let me check.
Yes, I can hear you.
And it sounds okay. I had trouble finding where I had you because I have a couple of icons up on. I'll just do it from here then. Okay. So you want to go on to the one that says why smart men marry smart women?
Yes. So that was the title of the email that you sent me, and there were several links that I have that I could share. I don't know if you're on your computer or your phone or whatnot.
Now, before we continue, I believe this man presented this topic to Nikole. I could be wrong, but it seemed that I don't think Nikole came up with this topic overall. I think this man is trying to, for what reason, bring up a subject about the mate selection of men in general. Well, let's continue on listening.
If you want to introduce what you were introducing earlier with me, was why did you pick this topic? Why do you want to present this topic? Peace to everybody in the chat, by the way.
Part of the reason that I wanted to talk about this is because I think it's important that men who invest in themselves education-wise, to elevate themselves income-wise, to improve their lives, typically once they've done that type of investment, they want to associate, date, and marry women who value what they've done, and they're also attracted to those types of women. Are you able to bring up that, or I can go ahead and do the part on the Kristen Wellman study on why smart men marry smart women? If you want to read that part, because you have a...
Now, this is where he effed up here. What Christian study has to base on what we look at in the environment, and this environment or world we live in today have to do with mate selection? On the average, do you know in the church right now, there are much more, some of these women, especially sisters, are very much as freaky as the men. They are right now in church having sex right now as we speak. Some of them go as far as fuck it in the church. A lot of people don't know that, but we're not going to talk about that. Let's continue.
Really cool reading voice. Really read that. If not, I can go over it as well.
Which
the second paragraph.
Okay. And if you have that up, I don't have. I opened the links, but
okay.
I don't have the email open, so I have to get the open. But in the meantime, if you can read that.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and read it. So, in the Kristen Wellman study, Why Smart Men Marry Smart Women, it's a Harris Interactive poll of high-earning and graduate-educated men. Of these successful men, 71% said a woman's career or educational success makes her more desirable as a wife. 68% reported that smart women make better mothers. And 90% of high-achieving men said that they want to marry or that they were already married to a woman who is as intelligent as they are or more so. Plus, the men said that they were looking for an equal companion who could co-create the kind of future they wanted. And when I'm
going to stop right here. And the reason why I pause, make sure my finger's adjusted. He said, from what they found, the study, and I'm not sure where I could find these links. I'm about to hit up Nikole. I don't know if I could do it tonight because it's already past time. Since when did we find that the men today, that this study said women that have degrees make better mothers? My number one question to ask, is this based overall or this is based off race? That's the question any person should ask when they come across this video. Because last time I checked, other races of women have no problem going to school and finding a man and doing what they should be doing while the man does what he should be doing. That's why I tell people many times, you have to be careful with every little study that talks the picture about certain information, but in reality, when you see the environment you're in, it does not equate. It does not add up. But let's continue.
I read that pretty much says what I'm seeing with the type of men that I see in my circle, in my life. You know, men who are, orthodontists, their wives tend that I know, lawyers, even a lot of the pastors that I know, their wives usually have a minimum of bachelor's degree. And they usually met in college or they met in professional circles or even in their social circles they met. So saying that a woman's education does not matter is, in my view, discouraging those women's accomplishment. And we also need to encourage more Black American men to get formal higher education. Because right now we have 12% of Black men over the age of 25 who have completed at least a bachelor's degree. When you get to master's and professional degree, that thins out to around 7%. So right now, when we have a situation where you have more Black women in medical school, dental school, law school, and graduate programs, they're coming out and they're having a pretty nice life. They're able to live well, and these guys who are trashing out their education or saying negative things about their education, that's not good, because these women will enhance your quality of life if you appreciate them, respect what they've done, and value them and their accomplishments. And that's kind of what I was coming from in that.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, okay, so you're saying a lot. Okay, so to me, it is a self-explanatory statement to say that smart people want to be with smart people because I don't know how else to say it. It's kind of obvious. Like some of these articles, when I'm reading through them, and I haven't gone through them in detail, but I'm skimming through things and looking, and a lot of it is like common sense. If I'm a smart person and I have myself together, I make 6 figures, I do what I'm supposed to do with my life. I'm looking to make more money over the course of my lifetime as I work. I'm not going to be with a dumb. I'm not going to be with somebody. Not necessarily saying a person who is like they are ambitious, they're intelligent, and they could make more money. I'm saying a person who wants to stay where they are, and that could be, part of my animus talking. I don't know, but to me that makes sense.
Okay.
Things have changed over the years. The people that are writing the articles or something that I look at because.
Excuse me. Sorry about that.
Of all the articles that, most of the articles, I can't say all necessarily, but most of the articles that I picked out, even the books that were in the email that you sent me, these are well-off white women primarily. I could be mistaken, but it seemed Deborah Siegel,
Mm-hmm.
the authors. Let's see. This was written by Dr. Diane Kirshner. Her picture on the website, she's clearly a white woman.
Mm-hmm.
I think she's a white woman. Maggle is a website where white women go to learn about feminine stuff. And so I have to ask the question, who are they talking to?
I'll tell you who they talking to, Nikole. This man found a study that only depicts of non-white people. This study only focuses on white people, not Black people. So when they do a study, they're not looking at the equation of all Americans. They're talking about them. 1 second. All right, let's continue.
On the Motherly website, there's even a video of a white woman sitting on a bed, and it's a featured video about something that would be promoting this topic, and it's saying it literally is asking the question: do men prefer big breasts or big brains? Now, looking at this now, at this point in time right now, socioeconomically, it would behoove a man to look at a woman's abilities. Unfortunately, a lot of women are not at that position where we are able to have something to bring to the table except physical looks. And so what I'm looking at is like the faultiness in some of the papers that were presented, some of the papers that were given. The study that you just talked about, by Christine Whelan, the title, I'll just summarize again. So the men who were successful, these are high-earning, graduate-educated men. 71% said a woman's career makes her more desirable as a wife. However, I don't know the parameters of the study. I can't go by what a person says in a website that's entitled Love in 90 Days.
I can appreciate that.
Lovin90days.com. Smart, very smart women. And you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I did use that because it synopsized the book real quickly so that we would have.
Oh, yeah, sure.
But I would like you to review my analysis of it when my commentary. So if you don't mind going.
No problem. I was just.
Now, there's a problem. This man talking about said he wants to go for his commentary from what he has read. But I'm gonna have to go with Nikole in this one because the study you're reading, they're looking at it through the lens of a Eurocentric standard, through their eyes, not us. And to be honest with you, I'll be honest with y'all. A lot of European men, white men especially, don't really, if they're college or they got a degree or whatever level of education they have achieved, don't on the average go seek what they call smart women or women that have degrees as well, on the average. And why I say this because certain European men / Caucasian men go to school too, but some also are white collar as well. You get that? If you hear the average white male, he rather prefer a woman that doesn't really reach a certain level because then it's going to have a perception that she's going to be smart or above him in regards to so-called education. But we all know most European women, or they call Miss Aunts, know they play their role well when they're around their men. So they're able to keep that in check for now, for some. But in regards to black people, black women, it's a totally different ball game. The more education she get, the less higher up. If she gets higher up, less the pool of men that she can attain, especially the men of her own group. So we're going to hear what this dude has to say, his own analysis on this crap that he read.
I was just, trying to look at it logically from a woman's perspective, because and from a scientist's perspective, it's one thing to put statistics out there about a study, but I have to look at where they put those statistics. Okay. That's what I.
And you're right, because now, Miss Nikole, you're using what we call common sense, which enough of our people should need to start using more, especially people that got fucking degrees. And this is what I've noticed. A lot of people that's black, African, or whatever, that got these degrees, their intellect is very much stifled. They don't use common sense no more. They're not able to rationalize a little bit better. They're not really thinking critically or long term of not only the effects of the education they get, but they're not able to think for themselves. What I'm starting to notice. And these people that got degrees. And the higher degree, the less they're able to think for self. So let's go on.
information to you as well. And in future, if we're going to do that, I'll go to the source for that on. I pretty much got that one because it synopsized the book pretty well. But look at my writings, though. Look at my writings from me that's independent from me. So I did note the comment on the section that says, assortative dating has become the new normal for high-achieving Black men. And so when we define assortative mating based on socioeconomic status, that is the tendency of humans to mate within their socioeconomic peer group. That is those with similar social standing, job prestige, educational attainment, or economic background as themselves. So then when I defined it, and these are my writings now. This is not from them. This is mine. Now, I did go afterwards and cite Dr. David Bainbridge, but these are my writings right now. So why do smart men marry smart women? Successful men are seeking wives who will be partners and confidants for winning and securing the good life. Empire building.
And what is this good life you talking about, Mr. Ray? I want you to be more clear and elaborate on this garbage. You're saying partner. That's my check. You and this woman, once you decide to marry her, there's no really actual partnership. It's just you have to play the bigger bulk in the role in the marriage as the leader, provider, protector, etc. When I hear this word about partnership, that sounds like some type of feminist nonsense. And that's something that the women from our group push more, partnership in this stupidness. I'm not really down with the partnership, but that's another story.
Men, that is, highly accomplished, financially successful men, do in fact prefer to marry women that are both beautiful and intelligent. One, because these men are smart and want to mate with a partner who is also smart. Two, because accomplished men want smart children to take over their financial legacies they have established, and smart women, that is, high IQ women, produce smart children. And I also state further, and higher education, language proficiency, such as fluency in multiple languages, as well as competency in a career or business, are all strong indicators of intelligence. Furthermore, the strongest predictor of a child's academic success is the education level of his mother. This is why elite men tend to seek out women with these backgrounds to build their family legacies. So those were the types of things. Now that's me talking.
Yeah, and so I agree with you more than. Sorry, I mean to cut you off, but I agree with you more. What you said more than what I was reading in some of the articles. Why? Because the articles, as I was saying earlier, many of those articles are written by women who are in a privileged, they're coming from a privileged position as palm-colored women. They're coming from a protected position as palm-colored women, so they don't see the world the way you and I would see the world, and I don't see the world necessarily the same way that you would see it. So I agree with what you're saying. I don't have a lot of pushback on what you said. My issue is on some of the things they were mentioning. I can feel and hear the feminist propaganda in some of the articles. And I can hear some of the like it's a sarcastic air to some of the things that are said in these articles. And I have to keep reminding myself who is the author, you know. And a lot of times when they say, oh, when I read articles in Psychology Today, for instance, and education magazines and stuff, and they'll say something about males, they will have to say it in a joking manner. They're being serious, but they have to like have some sarcasm or something behind it. And I'm like, you look stupid doing that. They can't just be straight up like you were. So I'm very appreciative of your words. I have the page now, the email, and I'm listening as you're speaking.
And then
in deeper facts, it goes again that there is propaganda. And mind you, the person who writes this, we have to be mindful and use our logic that is speaking for their perspective. And it is speaking from a privilege and entitlement because their man still runs the society here in America. Besides the world, his grip is kind of slipping in regards to control and power, the European man. Not going to that. But we have to be honest here that a lot of people, when we think about intelligence and IQ, and I've been still hearing this saying with a lot of black men about this IQ nonsense. And this is my conclusion again. The IQ was designed in Nazi Germany. Why? It's designed to exterminate people of what they deem have less intellect and were unworthy genetics. I want black people to hear me well. These people that have been eating dog shit and from the caves for centuries and was trained and learned and got all their understanding and intelligence from us as people. From the Egyptians to the Moors. And still today, I find black people still teach them because they still learn everything and steal from us. How is somebody that came from yesterday going to define what is intelligent? I want people to sit down and think this rational. You know why a lot of black people take serious of the IQ test? Because by default, they feel in their mind that they are inferior. They had to take a test to prove to the people that they still feed off of them through their natural gifts and insight, which they get paid off to prove that they're not stupid, they're not animals, monkeys, etc. The children you produce as men and women, and I say this nicely, is not a stupid child. Now, regards deformities and certain things the child might develop, that's highly possible because the environment we live in is very toxic, very pollution like atmosphere, air, water, and food is contaminated. It's possible you could have that in a child. That's just a possibility. I'm not sure what the percentage is where you could develop like Down syndrome, ADHD, or some of these symptoms that affect the child in the development where they could be functioning humans in society. That's a possibility. But in regards to actual intelligence and awakening natural genius of black children, especially black boys, it's as easy as making and baking food. What I mean by this, they talk about the IQ score. I've known there is some circling right now, which I cannot share, of a 12-year-old boy that's now going to be an engineer and potentially might work for NASA. And he's in college now at age 12 years old. That's one of many stories. Another story of other young children that's what they consider quote unquote gifted, that's able to retain information and learn so-called fast at a young age. The one question I always ask people this: what does the parents do, the mother or father do to awaken the natural genius of their children? I wait. Because genius you just don't get born and you're able to do mathematics, read and write arithmetic within as you're a baby and then you get it like that in a couple months. No, that's not how it works. All intellect and all awakening, you as a parent have to put in the natural work to teach your child, reinforce basics. If you want to teach your child sign language, you as a person has to be able to take up the book or find a video and you sit there, work and practice it with your child. And the more hours you put into it, the more that not only you learn it, but your baby learns it. Same thing as reading. I remember Mr. B.J. Igmore said, if a mother reads 30 minutes a day to the child, it will work wonders in how they're able to grasp and able to articulate the words and improve their comprehension reading within a matter of months, and hell, we could say year or two in less time. But you're only going to achieve this once you as a parent is not lazy as fuck, and you have to teach this to your child. The school system only has your child 7 to 8 hours a day. What do you do after 7 8 hours a day with your babies after they come through the de-education that don't teach them shit? Should be my number one question I ask every parent, especially mothers that's raising these boys from 0 to 18. This is not rocket science. I want people to understand and be clear. Every child learns differently. Now, every child's going to learn so fast if you're not putting the work to teach them the basics and reinforce it at home, not just outside the school system. You can see many more of our children succeed very well. But what I find is that in this society, with this Black culture, we love and indulge mediocrity. Less achievement for Black boys, especially. They will harp and push more the girls, but want to undermine their boys. I've seen it. As much as a lot of women don't hear this, and God to be on here tonight. You love to see your child be undermined and be underdevelopment. So I'm gonna continue playing on this. Try to get that out of the way.
Go back to my parts, okay? Because I did that kind of to fill in on some things, but let's go to my parts where I say top tier men date for beauty and intelligence. And at the top of that, we look at attorney Bakari Sellers, who's the South Carolina state legislature, and his wife, Dr. Ellen Rucker Sellers. He is also at a major law firm. He's a Morehouse grad, as well as a University of South Carolina Law School grad, and he practices law in Columbia, South Carolina. You might see him from time to time on MSNBC commentating, but his wife, Mr. Doctor. In addition to that, let me just tell, this is coming from me. Top tier men date women for beauty and intelligence. So I've stated that smart, accomplished, financially established Black men looking for love, marriage, and then the baby carriage have become strategic in finding the right type of woman who respects his intelligence, good life choices, moral values, and financial achievements. Smart Black men have learned to date and mate for beauty and intelligence, class and education, as well as values and compatibility. And so we talked about another paragraph. In addition, her personality, demeanor, education, and speaking skills, as well as her ethics and moral values, all come into play in this mating game for upper tier men. And then I wanted to start on the part where airheads and ratchets are not winning with true high value men. The point is, just being pretty isn't enough in the real world of elite men. And truth be told, pretty ratchets are not winning with high value men. Maybe among a few pro athletes and entertainers, but among the smart elite men that run the society's top businesses, as well as the Black men that do those things like Bakari Sellers and institutions, ratchet behavior doesn't make the cut. So that's what I'm saying. Now, those articles, and we live in a predominantly white, well, the elite that rules society are predominantly white, but my article came out is because Black men's lives will be enhanced if you're on that level when you get with an educated woman who can be intellectually on your level, who has enough to tell you to get you to raise your game, to encourages you while you're in graduate school or you're trying to do these businesses or whatever you're trying to do. A smart woman will enhance all of that. And if you look at the elite white men, they tend to marry smart women. I mean, Jerry Jones, who owns the Dallas Cowboys, his wife graduated from school with him. She was Miss Arkansas, but she graduated. We talked in the article about how Peyton Manning, who won the Super Bowl twice, his wife has a master's in education, whereas Cam Newton and Terrell Owens have 4 children out of wedlock, and they haven't accomplished those types of things. So I am standing up for the importance that we need more Black American men in higher education, killing it in STEM, killing it in even in the liberal arts, going to top law schools and kicking ass and not making excuses about they need a woman with a high school diploma or less pregnant who would only have children that can't function well in a modern competitive digital economy. And so that's what I was standing up for.
I understand that, and I appreciate that. Now that you're breaking it down, I know it's hard to get some of those things across, and I understand what you were saying in the email. However, we also, and I know you noticed it in your email, probably when you were typing it, there is racial disparity that's there.
Mm-hmm.
So that cannot be seen. That is not an excuse for not even going to bat and attempting to hit the ball.
Mm-hmm.
You're not even allowed in the arena.
Let me pause 1 second. How you doing, Femi? Welcome. I will say this, Femi. Don't be fooled what this man's telling you. Because if you listen good, what he's saying that the men that are smart and intelligent and are what he considered in certain fields, if you didn't listen good, Femi, and listen to me good, sweetie, he's saying that they, on the average, should be getting to women that have a bachelor's degree or any of the same or higher so-called training status like them. Do you get me? And I'm not sure if you have a 4-year degree, Femi. If you want to tell me, that's fine. If not, it's okay. But he's actually talking about that a man that's in a certain he went to school and got a degree should marry and procreate someone that also went to school and got a degree. So if you're not fall into that area, Femi, he is not talking about you. So when you talk about, say, where are these men at? He's telling you right here in this audio clip that these men, they don't search for, on the average, a woman if you're not at that same level or statute, or you're not around networking with these type of men. Not saying you can't get these men, but he's talking about this. Oh, what's this? No, I know. Yeah, so if you don't got, let's say, a bachelor's degree of any higher education, and not saying a regular bachelor, like something in what he said, like STEM or those higher type of more rigorous degrees, right? This will not apply to on the average. Can you get them? Possibly. And I say possibly. But here's the trick, Femi. Listen to me good. I don't want you to take shame what I say or give me you might give me pushback. That's fine. That you have to fit yourself a certain way as a woman so that way you're able to attract these type of men. Through his logic. Listen good, through his logic. Not saying you can't get no man that has some sense. No. To get the man that, what he's saying here, you gotta be college educated. Do you get me, Femi? Because in college with degree, you're around a certain network of these men in those areas. Or, young boys that are men in school becoming these type of professions. It's like a circle. If you're not in that circle, you're not gonna get access to those type of men that you're asking for. So let's continue. I hope that was clear.
Or stadium, whatever it's called, stadium, you're not even allowed there, much less allowed to sell tickets out front or popcorn.
I'm going to challenge you on that. I apologize for interrupting. Go ahead and finish, please.
Because if I'm a young person, 18 years old, or let's say we have a young man who's 18 years old and he cannot, and his grandfather, his father, they did not go into STEM. They didn't have those opportunities. How are they supposed to train the young boy, the young man, to go into those particular fields? You don't wake up at 18 years old or 10 years old and know about and have this awakening all of a sudden and have this desire for science and technology. It starts at home. It starts with a young child. It starts at 5, 6 years old. I was put into
Exactly, Nikole. Just like I said earlier, a person has to be presenting this to your children at roughly 5 years old. Once they're able to speak, walk, and able to, have an understanding. Usually, number 6 is the age where an old Russian saying from Russian, I don't know if his name is Vladimir, said, "If I have your child at 6 years old, they are mine forever," because that is the point of no return. 5 to 6 years old. That's where they're ready to infuse a lot of material and teachings of basics, starting from the maybe well not ABC, but starting on the regular stuff. Usually ABCs and all that math that should be taught by age 1 or 2 at least, around them age. You can start early, teach them like one ABC numbers, but as they get to that age, that's where you want to. That's where the point where you of no return. Start teaching those small basics so they can get where they need to be, especially with engineering and all forms that requires certain math, trigonometry, calculus. You get me? So these require more advanced, stuff. But like I said, the younger, the better. And that's something as a parent, if you're not well versed in it, you're not gonna be able to present it to your own child. Now, I'm saying that you as a lazy parent that you don't do nothing. You still try to put your children in a position so they're in a direction to give them the options so that they will get comfortable with the science and technology, what we call STEM. You have to put your children in a certain position if you're not well versed in that area. That's the only way you're gonna go. So what I said earlier, when Nikole's revealing, I have said just now. Let's continue.
Feminine and stereotypically feminine and stereotypically masculine activities as a child, starting around 4 or 5 years old. I played piano, I played soccer, I did ballet, I did tap. I did those things. I did Girl Scouts, I played basketball. I did those things as a little kid. And because my parents wanted me to be well-rounded, I made the decision later to go into STEM. I wanted to be a doctor primarily. I wanted to be specifically an orthopedic surgeon. That's what I wanted to do. And I realized it may be better for me and more lucrative for me financially to go into graduate school. And I would actually make more money, and I would have more responsibility. And I would be able to do a lot more with that particular job. I had to make that decision, but I didn't get there overnight. My dad, my mom constantly going with me, helping me, pushing me. My mom would sometimes be soft on me, but my dad was never soft on me. He never let me give up. I'm like, we training and stuff outside, doing whatever we're doing. And I'm like, I can't do it anymore. 8, 9 years old. I can't do. You get up. You're gonna do it. You're gonna keep going. Gonna keep fighting. You treated us all the same. And so my point is if you have a child, a young man or a young girl, young boy, young girl, it has to start at home. You have getting women in the position where you will put your son into male-dominated spaces to be trained and raised up properly. You will do that.
I hear you.
And that's where the rubber meets the road. I'm not sure if any ladies still in the chat room. Listen to me. Hear me well, ladies. Anyone y'all have sons, there are 2 ways you're going to play this, sweeties. Either you let the man do what he has to and spend whatever time he has with his son, or you give full and forfeit all custody and give him straight to the father after he reaches a certain age. I prefer around 7 or 8. And the most maybe close to 9. The reason why, because there's a certain element how we raise children. There's certain things fathers demand of their sons, because most fathers on the average, and listen to me good, ladies, and I hope that people share this, their fathers want their sons to be better than them. That's his honest truth. There's no such thing on the average as a man just walks off on his children. That's bullshit. If most dudes, on the average, if they had the option, which they do, and the system was not hitting them up or attacking the way it is how the woman likes to play these games, that it should not be a problem that your son should be able to have access to his father, and his father should be able to parent as he please. Because, like I said, you're going to get a better result if that man is involved. But I understand why most women don't do this. Because the power struggle is more of a controlling factor. Who's this? Oh, how you doing, Miss Cherry? I said 7, 8 is usually, I would say maybe 9, because as you know, Bomb, well, actually, I can't tell you, Bomb, because you are married. So this doesn't really apply to, because you're still with your husband. But for the average woman, if you're going to be raising these boys, you have to start, as they get a little older, let the man have your sons for the rest of their growing development in their later years, particularly before they hit 10. You want to give both you and your mate roughly maybe 10 years apart of the boy child at least, because they said a child is an adult at 18 years old. And normally at 18 years old, there's 2 options a boy does. Either you go to school, go to college, get a trade, or go to the military. Now, some people said children could work. That's one element, but we prefer that most boys to get some type of skill or learn something. And those are only 2 or 3 options they have. When it comes to the man's side, if he's around his father, those are the options the son have with the father. Other than that, we don't do this little shack up where, boys, they stay on one parent for 0 to 18 and develop the little, I guess, sissy habits, or they call feminine tendencies, or we want the issues that young boys develop as they become boys, young men that we hear now that they develop. But you alleviate that problem by giving the rest of the custody to the men. Now, in regards to these dudes walking out, there's no thing of a walkout with responsibility. I'm hearing this a lot of times that women just say the man just walk out. If you're not married to the man, the mate, most likely you're co-parenting in an unstructured society. And with co-parent, the way how this relationship with us in this community, it's all over the place. Now, usually with marriage, there's always, if people divorce, there is so-called custody battle, which, people that has gone through it, they know the problems of that. But if you're not married as a woman with a mate, and let's say for whatever reason the male walks off, which probably they do, the only thing you could do as a woman, you have to make it a way where you have to entice them to still be involved with the boys of your son's life. And you know what to do, ladies. I'm not telling you what you should be doing. You know what to do. But this is not, the babble for this. I just want to give my little insight to that. I hope that was clear, Mr. Bomb Cherry. All right, good. I'm going to continue playing the audio.
That it will happen, it's not going to happen, because you can't, even the environment changing as quickly as it is, it's not going to force. Some women are stuck in their ways. They're like a mule in mud. They're not going anywhere. They don't want to go anywhere. And if that means the detriment of their sons, and so be it. That's just where they are right now.
Mm-hmm.
Those are just my feelings.
And I agree with you on that, Nikole. The parenting is essential in education, and it starts from 0 to 5 years old. It starts at that young, and this is why the intelligence level, the social economic status of the mother and all. But let's go back to when we say a kid that comes out of school, grew up with his grandparents, and he does. The best thing that we can do for those types of kids to give them a really good start, those men, is to, similar as Dr. Dunbar did, is encourage them to go to a historically Black college, preferably in the South, and get them to get their grounding there, and couple that with ROTC, Recruiting Officers Training Corps.
Yeah.
That's another one I think I sent you about how historically Black colleges develop Black young men into officers and gentlemen. And I sent you an article on Valiant Cross Academy about how education, but see, when you have this poor parenting and you have people on the way back, Angry Man put a video up called F a College Degree. And if you're telling our young men that higher education, when we're not there already, it's not important, and you're discouraging them, and you're exacerbating the difficulty of Black women like yourself coming in contact with men who value and respect and appreciate what you've done with your life. But if a brother has gone to Morehouse and he gets him a PhD from Howard or the University of Michigan or the University of California at Berkeley, and he comes across a fine young woman like yourself and he wants to shoot his shot, he's going to have a better chance than somebody making an excuse. Because I can tell you, my friend who graduated number 2 in her class, who went to Rice University and kicked ass, and look up Rice, went to Washington U Medical School, she's not hearing it. And she is attractive. She's about 5'4" and 120 pounds. She's got her own OBGYN practice. She got game, and she's always dated men kind of on her level. Since I graduated from college, I've never dated any women that have not been college graduates. So it's when you kind of get in those circles, but we have to do a better job. But discouraging these young men is not going to do it. And we can do another live stream later when we talked about Valiant Cross Academy by the Brock brothers in Montgomery, Alabama, teaching these young men from kindergarten, helping them meet doctors, helping them getting their academic skills together. And these are poor kids, and helping them meet one of the top federal judges in Alabama. And you're sitting here 8 years old and you're meeting with the top Black federal judge in Alabama. And you're going to museums, so it is a parental responsibility like your parents did. And it's very hard to do those things without having parents involved. Yeah.
No, you have to.
Let me stop right there. Mr. Ray said a lot. He talks about the Black man getting PhDs, which is fine, depending on what PhD you're getting. I have no problem with that. The only problem I have is when he got mad of another conscript, what he said before, about a man said F college. And I have no problem what the man said about fuck college. We have to be honest here as people to what we're doing. I want people to hear me clear and hear me good. There are Black people that's already in college. Some either they finish or don't finish. And most of them, they go as far as maybe the bachelor's. And the more they go up, they might get a master's and PhD, which is really not much a high percentage of people getting PhDs. The point I'm saying is this. What you do with this so-called miseducation is another thing. There are many people with degrees, but we're not doing nothing or have nothing to show for it. You must understand, and a good example is this. Dr. Boyce Watkins, who also got a PhD in finance, in economics, and I think it's MBA or wherever. He has very high PhD in that area. These are other Black men that don't tell you the thing about this PH nonsense or this college situation. You're only learning just enough just to secure a job working for somebody else on the average. No matter if not average, as the whole. Most people that go to school are working for somebody else. Let's keep 100. And in doing so, you're not going to build no wealth. I'm sorry, Black people, to hear this, but this is the honest truth. You got to understand, the middle class was only an experiment here in America. And I said an experiment. that was only supposed to run its course for roughly almost close to 75 years. What I mean by this, because a lot of people don't check the history that the middle class didn't really establish in America until after World War II. What was America like before World War II? There was an upper and lower class. What you see today in the 21st century, we are now heading right back to that upper and lower class. There is, in the world, especially in America, and we could say outside America is different, but the same rules apply. There is no such thing as middle. Throughout history, there's always the top and there's the lower. Get me? And knowing this, that your degree only facilitates you to just be known and recognized to work for somebody that established a corporation that doesn't even got a degree. I can name a few people, the same white people that you work for, don't got even a bachelor's degree. Mark Zuckerberg. Steve Jobs. And I can't name much more because I have to Google the names to find others. But it's not surprising. Even someone now that got business now not even attended a 4-year university. Hell, some of them even finished high school. But it never hit me that these people never went to school like every other citizen in America. But they run major corporations and hire people that went out to school just to get a job for somebody that did not even qualify or did the same work like everybody else. So we should ask ourselves as Black people, what are these people that run corporations learning that we're not learning as people? Because there are a lot of people in our communities that have these degrees, but the community is not even better. Matter of fact, it's actually getting worse. Because now the amount of debt that Black people accumulate, and the one that's holding most of the debt is Black women, it shows you that we're not building shit with this direction. And I remember when Amos Wilson said it best in his lectures about this educated Negro. He always asks, when we get educated, it's not for our survival, it's for somebody else's self-preservation, for work for somebody else. And we as Black people now, more than ever, have not gotten around that in over a century now, or nearly a century. I know a few college students that had to change majors not because they can't do the work, but they know the reality is they're going to have to find something that will give them instant money, or where they're going to get better out of the return than going for the higher up education, the engineer, STEM, etc. And really, we do need more science, STEM, and some people that's doing all the other things that's in the technological world. But it boils down that what are you doing with this education? A lot of education we take and we learn is always for individual means only. And it doesn't really help us collect, especially in America, which most of the wealth is still held by 90% of others that got the same degrees, but most of the corporation that they established is created by other Caucasians within their groups. So I want y'all to marinate on that as I continue on with this.
Understand now when it comes to AM reminds me of one of my cousins. Okay, straight up. One of my cousins on my dad's side, like same complexion, same attitude, same swag, everything, same money game, everything. Like that's him, and he has the same. It's funny how he has very similar sentiments to that, but you can't go in on AM. And I have respect for AM because of his hustle. Can't go into AM. There's a reason why guys like that have that hustle. I didn't have that hustle. I didn't have to have that hustle. You know, that's.
I believe I can go in there. And if you want us to stand up for academic excellence, I can go on somebody stand up for college.
But you can't contradict
more black men who are college graduates to compete in the 21st century digital economy.
You can't contradict yourself in that, because on one hand, you say that that's problematic for him to have that sentiment, but on the other hand, you say it starts in a home. Which one?
And let me stop right there to educate this fuckboy Ray. You're not competing if you work for somebody fucking else. That's just the honest truth. How you compete in the 21st century and you're not even creating a business to scale up enough as a collective, as black fucking people to be able to compete? Because that's I check. You can't compete working with the same institution that hire you. You're not competing. So scratch that shit about you competing. All right, so that's all I'm gonna say. Let's continue playing this, man.
It starts
in the home that he has 3 sons that he's saying F a college degree, and his sons will have to compete in a society where a college education is very important. He is in Research Triangle Park in North Carolina. You know that it's the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, and North Carolina State. He is in one of the top academic areas of the country to be saying F a college degree, for black men to hear that. And y'all have asked us to stand up for academic excellence, that when men say things out of order like that they're not helping us in advance, and they're not coming through these institutions except to cause damage to a lot of women. When they trash these women for getting their education and they're not there with them and doing the same thing, they are just making a lot of mistakes. They need to be at Alabama A&M, Prairie View A&M, North Carolina A&M.
Now, I saw somebody in the comment section talk about the obstacles. And I understand, I hear you, brothers, the ones that left that comment as obstacles. But in life, it's always an obstacle. And this is not something new that we as men deal with, and we dealt with worse. So I don't want no barrier in regards, because there's obstacles that we should not try to still achieve wherever we're trying to accomplish, So I don't want people to keep referring to this obstacle, so I'm not going to attempt to do it. I just want men that's listening to this, or anybody listening back to playback, don't go by that. You always got to keep thriving,
Okay. I agree with what Herbert's saying in the chat. He's saying that you're ignoring the obstacles. There are a lot of obstacles in the way for a lot of young men. The fact that I have young black men, older black men who are principal investigators, who run their own laboratories, who I have to answer to. There are black men in DC, in New York, I have to answer to myself, because they run certain divisions, certain units that I would never dream to run, But their parents, sometimes it's not about. The other thing is, you said it started with the family. There's 2 things to that, at minimum. One is your family sees something in you that they know can transpire and can transform you and become something that's concrete and tangible. Mm-hmm. That's the thing. Your parents sometimes see something in you. Sometimes they push you because they know you can take it. They push you because they know this child can take it. This child is strong-willed. This child has been, has tried to be independent since the day they was born. I know I can push them. I know they can go to the highest. They can go to the lengths, and they'll be able to carry themselves. And that's one less child I have to really worry about, because they're going to be independent. Everybody can't get it through the education system. I've had students I have mentored myself who couldn't get it through the education system. Now, some of them actually make almost as much as I do, and with what I have. And I'm like, really? Because they got it in the mud. They had an idea. They wanted to be entrepreneur. They were science majors, and they dropped out of science major and went into business, or went into law, or went into something else. One of the students I mentor right now, she's a postdoc at Johns Hopkins. Okay, she was one of my students. I was a TA for her, for the class, about 40 students. shout out Dr. Ingram. She's in Hopkins right now, Johns Hopkins. She works with a bunch of stuff, bunch of crazy stuff she does. Y'all think my work is crazy? Oh my God, her stuff is off the chain. So the point is, a lot of the people back in the day, LaShann did, a lot of my students, LaShann, Roderick, Maria, Mario. I mean, Brittany, and Brittany. I had 4 Brittany's in one class. I had a lot of kids that came through my class as a TA, and all my kids, like, they all didn't get it, like, with the so-called silver spoon. They all didn't get it the way I got it. Some of them got it out the mud. Some of them came from LA and was in Georgia because their grandmother didn't want them doing the game.
Okay. I hear you, and I don't believe I'm ignoring that.
I'm just saying, like, it's when you talk about, and that's one situation. When you talk about, that it does start from home, and I'm just saying, but there are so many obstacles out there.
Father is telling his son, have a college education. What obstacle am I ignoring? I'm challenging that. I'm saying that we, the people who are parents, and also people in the community, need to be telling these men, hey man, you're pretty smart. I'm impressed that you finished algebra. You take an analytical geometry now. I'm impressed with the fact that you're in robotics class, that you're going to robotics camps. We need to be encouraging those boys when they're doing those types of things. We need to be inspiring them. So we have people thinking that being cool, being swag, and I can understand the swag thing, but the swag did not develop Facebook. The swag did not develop worldwide technology, which is the largest Black multi-billion-dollar company in the U.S. And swag has its place, but I want high levels of competence where these guys can start out in Alabama A&M and finish up with a master's in electrical engineering at Auburn or Texas Tech or Georgia Tech. I want to see these guys coming out of North Carolina A&T.
And another thing I do want to say, let's do the average. And maybe if I have time, I might just Google it. The top universities in America is Harvard, I believe Yale, the one in California. I think there's one in New York. And I forgot the other one in some other states. But these are the top universities of college. And the one thing Ray has never really discussed, he talks about these degrees, but he never talks about one of the things that any Black person, man or woman, especially male, that he never emphasized is you should be focusing if you're in these universities, and let's see again one of those type of degrees or anything less than degree, that you should be building a sense of a network. I rarely hear talk about building networks and this whole entire conversation. And you must understand, the most of that get the jobs is not what you know, is who you know. And that's one thing that Ray has not really discussed throughout the whole entire stream. And when y'all go back and listen for yourself, you will understand what I'm saying. Because that's where it really matters. And if you're not able to build your network, it don't matter what you are able to understand or regurgitate. It's worthless.
With a civil engineering degree and going to MIT and doing like Ron McNair did.
Oh, yeah, MIT. Forgot about that. Thank you for bringing that, Ray.
Come out with a PhD. And that starts with, you said, the home, the family, and community encouraging those men. We do understand that there are obstacles. There were greater obstacles for our grandparents. There were greater obstacles for our parents. And this is the 21st century, and we can overcome those obstacles, but we've got to have the correct mindset and not let those obstacles be excuses for failure. And a lot of these parents are failing their children by not encouraging them, not being partnered with these teachers, not being involved with these schools, and everybody else is coming here taking opportunities that we should be experiencing and fulfilling now. And as a woman, when you get to this level, you would have a shortage of men, and he doesn't have to have a PhD. Maybe he has a JD, maybe he has an MBA, and he's an assistant vice president at Bank of America, and he wants to shoot his shot, and you know that, okay, he can offer me a quality of life. He respects your education, he respects what you're doing with your life, or you want somebody that's making all kind of excuses why he got 2 children from 2 different women, and he trying to get a job here and there, and can't be employed. We got to challenge that. And I understand that, but we've got to challenge that and encourage them and help them as much as we can to overcome that.
Yeah, I understand. Like, my thing is, I'm not gonna talk down on that a person's decision and what they made. And I understand George Fraser. I made a comment. He said college puts you to work for other people, not yourself. And BGS, what's going on? Shout out to BGS. Salute to the master teacher.
College can be an excellent
thing. I wasn't finished talking, but no, it's cool. But BGS was saying you need both, and I agree. You do need both. It's hard for some people, thinking of it. I remember, you know what? I'm gonna break it down. I remember one time, because it stuck with me. AM said one time he was running with his grandmother. And he can get, he can cuss me out, whatever, later on when he hears this. But he said he and his grandma, she got a check every month, and she brought in.
All right, hold on, guys, 1 second. All right, sorry about that, guys. Let me continue.
$365 a month. I remember that. And it was on one of BGS's streams. I think it was last year or something. And he mentioned that. He said, we didn't have that much. My grandma really didn't know about, a lot of stuff going on. And it's the same with my grandmother. Like, my grandmother was half a step above a slave. She was a sharecropper. Okay? And so her mother, my great-grandmother, pretty much was a slave. Okay? And because, sharecropping ain't but a half step out of slavery. You're basically on the same land, just the plantation house is just a house now, But you still working. You got a little house where the slave quarters used to be, and it's a little house now, a little bigger house. Okay. But you're basically a slave. And he was explaining how his grandmother really couldn't teach him everything about the world, but he knew he had to go out there and get it. He knew he had to go out there, get it out the mud. Get it out the mud how you can. Some people who don't have the opportunities, that's what I was saying. Just because my cousin, for instance, same thing. Like, he had to get out the mud how he could. He took his bumps and bruises as they came, but he's still successful. And for himself, this is what he wanted to do. He wanted to be successful. He wanted to be an entrepreneur. He got it how he lived. And there's I don't have no issue with that. He had opportunities to go to college. His sisters and brothers went to college. He was like, college is not for me. This is what I'm gonna do. I know one thing. He got way more street smarts than a lot of us do. He knows what's up. If it comes to, just getting dirty and down in the mud with it, if it comes down to putting a paper bag on a politician's table, he's probably more likely to do it than I am. Well, I can say that. So I'm not going to fix them. I'm not going to do nothing. I'm not going to say nothing derogatory and denigrating about them, because those are our people. And just like you said, because that's another contradictory statement. AM has children. My cousin has children. I see the comparison there between AM and my cousin. On many levels, right? But that he has children. Like, I can't sit here and tell that man how to raise his children. I have to tell him what to do. The opportunity is there. He knows the opportunity is there. And who's to say he's not taking advantage of it? Just because he don't say it here, this platform don't mean take advantage of it. AM's son, I saw the drawings from his son. Beautiful drawings. He's a genius as far as artistic work, graphic design, and everything. Nowadays, that can carry you a long way. Should he go to college? For him to decide, him and his mother.
Well, don't.
At the same time, it's like,
meaning that I'm talking down to them. I'm not talking down to him. I'm saying that we need to elevate. We need more Black men in colleges and higher education. Period. We need to double that at least. We need to be a part of this 21st century fourth industrial revolution, and we need to be getting grounded because we're being left behind. And so I'm not degrading what he said. I understand that he is.
Now, the funny thing, Ray, he keeps saying that we are being left behind on this. And I'm thinking, like I said before, if you're not the ones in control and building your own corporations, you're going to be left behind regardless. Now, that's not when I'm saying that you don't still pursue to adapt to this new industrial age, which really, that means you're going to have to understand some coding, a little bit more basic computer science, or all the things now that's considered techie. Even as far as you might have to understand some Arduino, Raspberry Pi, some basic circuits, all these things that also plays a part, even including robotics. The point I'm trying to say is this, that these are things that young Black boys, if they're not at it, are already at it. My thing is this, that you have to guide these youth in a direction you want to see where the community is going. The problem why a lot of Black men don't move to a certain direction or try to elevate or see, because they don't have no guidance, no proper mentoring, no structure. And that's one weakness we find here in the Black communities, that we don't have real standards or structure amongst men. And a lot of young men come in these spaces to find structure and stability. So they have a sense of destruction. So they're not at it alone. And to really take advantage of this fourth way industry, there's going to have to be some of us that have not only knowledge, but some of us going to have to start creating these businesses for our youth to facilitate, to nourish and flourish with their ideals. And I think the Black Brain Trust talk about this, and they're a very good outlet to check out because they're more in the tech side of things. But let me continue.
Obvious and challenges and things, but I don't understand how saying half a college degree is helping the sons prepare for the 21st century.
I didn't say that was helping the sons. You flipping my words around.
Okay, I didn't. I'm just making that statement. I apologize. I'm not trying to say that.
Mm-hmm.
But, what I'm saying is that we do have opportunities. I'm hearing you make the statement. We don't. We have 10 times more opportunities than our great grandparents did.
When it comes to trimming your balls, use the Manscaped.
And maybe they can't see that. That's the thing.
So that's why we have to say things like, go to Alabama A&M, join ROTC. I know you can do it. I have faith in you, young man. When you have these children. So all I'm saying is that I'm just speaking that this is going to get the results we want. And even when I sent those things to, to the breakdown, if we don't make these major changes now in how we're raising these children, then beautiful women like you, who have a great deal to offer us, an intelligent, resourceful man, will be dogged out because you got a PhD, she thinks she's all that. Look, if you got
I never said that.
you're standing up here and you got these things going on, and that's one beautiful aspect of who you are. And then you fine and you're pretty, then that's a whole package to me. So somebody gonna come up here and tell me that you're not gonna enhance her life, but he's gotta come with more than swag.
Yeah, he comes with more than swag.
No. It's amazing. I said this early in the broadcast that the average man that has a certain education or level of resource, by default, they're not really too fond of wifing a lot of women that are so-called equally yoked in that same area, because there is a certain entitlement, a certain I'm better than you in a certain way. There's a certain mentality it goes into us in this community in regards to education. As you know, most women on the average don't deal with real educated. If Ray wants to proclaim it as the emphasis that these men up here are the ones that should be getting these same black women that same areas of education, of quality, of some yoke. And I say, no, that is false. And I'm saying that most women, well, I'll say it's personally. America is very much a fat country. And normally, on the average, as you know, most women that get the higher the education, the more they let themselves go in regards to relationship skills and weight. So let's say a man does all this. What does he have left to really deal with out here on the average? None of something that's really appealing for him to really take seriously out here. And this is the argument, ladies, that a lot of men are talking about, which I see personally myself, my own eyes. The higher up the black woman gets, the more she's got a disdain for and not really respect for the man. Either he's of the same caliber of education or lesser or greater. Because like the elder said on YouTube, you're not really raised or groomed in this society to really appreciate men or to be actual women or wives like other cultural or race of women. So I think there's somebody that's coming up on here. I'm gonna keep playing. Matter of fact, I might drop the link, see if anyone wants to come up. Let me do that. I doubt people's gonna come up, but let's see. I'll drop the link anyway. I'm gonna continue playing this and
Okay, so maybe I was misconstrued in what I was saying.
Okay.
I'm a little passionate and whatnot, but my thing is, you can't look down or have a grievance. I shouldn't say look down, but have a grievance against people that they're still within our group. That I cannot tolerate, because
how are you feeling that I have a grievance with? Break that
okay,
down.
because you have contradicted yourself 2 times on the subject, and so that's what and it seems like it's a grievance that you're still, or some issue that you're still working out. And I understand what you're saying. I'm hearing what you're saying, but I have literally mentor students that were where they were, and I was their TA, their mentor. We weren't friends or nothing, but it was like, they saw me as their big sister because they was like basically running for their life. I'm just gonna break it down. If you in Atlanta, your grandma, your aunt, your grandma in LA sent you to, your grandma in LA in Long Beach sent you to Atlanta, and you telling everybody about, you telling me personally, at one point that I'm here because I had no choice. I had to come here. They would about to jump in the gang or whatever. And you're here in Atlanta, like, okay, really? Then I have another student that's telling me that, they're coming from Chicago, and they're like, I'm here because I need to be here. I need to figure out what I'm gonna do here. I may not stay in science, but I appreciate you being a TA. You hard on us, you hard as hell on us, but I appreciate you being there. I appreciate you, being hard on us and staying on us and helping us with our work and stuff like that. I appreciate that. And that really meant a lot to me. Even though some of the students didn't stay in science, I had no problem with that. Some of the students that made straight A's in my class, they switched their major the next semester. I was like, whoa, why'd you switch your major? What's going on? You don't like me no more? What's going on? Did I do something to you? We got beef. What's up? What's going on? We got beef. What's up? This is how I talk to them. And they was like, nah, we ain't got no beef. We ain't got no beef. And I was like, what's going on? And they're like, man, I'm gonna switch over. I'm gonna go into business, man. So there's too much money in Atlanta for me to miss out on it. That's what I had students telling me. It's too much money in Atlanta.
And I'm not opposed to that. I would like to do that at a higher level. You can be a higher level of entrepreneur with a college background if you've been a banker lending money to people, or if you work for a business for 5 years and you have an MBA. You have the connections and resources that you don't typically have coming from a poor background. So that's why they're limited in the type of businesses they're in right now. They're not in the type of businesses that are changing the economy right now because they have to have some access to technology and information because they're on businesses that are on the way out. And so so we're in agreement, but I think that you women have said that you wanted the smart guys to stand up for you. You wanted the smart, and I'm going to challenge somebody who says F a college education. I'm going to challenge them because we only have 12% of Black American men of 25 and above with a bachelor's degree. And so I'm going to challenge that. Now, he can do what he chooses to, and I hope those children are overcoming those things, but we need to stand up for higher education, and it's important where we go and get that grounding, and then we can take it to a higher level. And also, Nikole, hope at some point that we'll get back to that initial subject, why smart men marry smart women.
So let me ask you this question, because I talked to multiple PhDs that are in education, right? So how could...
All right, let me stop. Yeah, I might continue just for the back and forth review. Well, let me pause right here for more commentary. This is my thing. Ray's a cool dude. He's all right. He presented some information. Some of the information he presented is pretty much out of date now and not really factual to the reality about men that's educated choose educated women, or like they should marry educated women for a reason. To be honest with you, Ray, you're reading that from the lens from white people's perspective, bro. And the few European men that do pick women that, if they go through college and either graduate or whatever, they're not really marrying a lot of women on the average that has the same qualities as them. Now, not saying that women that have degrees are not able to find and marry these women that are of the same educated value or greater. But overall, most men that run business that are non-Black, most of their wives, on the average, that in their groups do have a degree, but they're able to still function in a relationship and act in regards to gender roles. Now, I hear this excuse what a lot of Black people say because we live in a so-called supremacist system, that this is the reason why, especially women, when I'm hearing from women's side, they can't act a certain way of feminine because they act masculine. To me, that is a choice. And let me tell you why that's a choice. Because for whatever reason, you act in the way you do, you are being rebellious to a point where you turn it on for one group of men on the average and turn it off for another. So it tells me that you don't have no respect for the men in your community. That's why I want to hear a lot of this discussion about, what the men are building, what they're doing. You're not going to get shit, boo-boo, if you're not acting properly. Usually men that's doing things are going to build regardless. And how he sees foot, he might not even pick you if you're not going to be respectful or what is considered to his level that he feels is worthy to even give the time of day. Now, we could blame America for breaking the miscegenation laws as we see today, why a lot of men that's not white going out and marrying out more than ever. And they're doing this not only out in the community, but also in the college scenes as well. And now what I'm hearing now, a lot of young boys are not even giving Black women the time of day. So this is a domino effect that is caused by the constant neglect of not bettering the boys in your community. especially when it comes to women in the community. Now, I heard someone say that they're fine, they could find other groups of men and they'll explore their options. But the problem is to explore options, people gotta be getting, have to be able to get and keep a man. And a man has to want you and go as far as marriage, because how the man thinks, ladies, we really do count average marriage. If you've not been married to no man, particularly black man, then really you're not doing nothing as a woman. The only thing you do is you're getting the sex, which a lot of people are comfortable nowadays in this culture of the pump and dump culture as we see it fit now, because that's what we see where it's on line right now. But overall, as men, we count marriage here. We don't really focus on how many partners you're able to give you attention and fuck you. We don't waste time with that. That's waste of time. We count how long a man you could sustain a man in a relationship, which will lead to a marriage. That's how the average man keeps score when we look at you, ladies. And normally, younger, the better. And if you're past a certain age where if you didn't have kids and you're at that age where you're considered high risk, roughly 35 and older, then the chance likely of you getting a decent man or, possibly getting married by a man is harder. And it could be goddamn even slimmer, depending if you carry yourself a certain way. If you have not improved in your relationship skills, keeping a balanced fitness and being friendly, kosher, and respectful, and and smile, you're not gonna get no man. That's the honest truth. And it's not me saying this, but you're gonna hear this again and again from other men, not in YouTube world. You're gonna hear this on the podcast. You're gonna even hear this in reality, real life. If you ask the average man, and some men will be honest with you, they will keep it real and tell you the truth. Now, the men that don't tell you what it is or keep it real with you, they try to protect your feelings. But the average dude that's on about some shit and is keeping it real with you, he's gonna tell you the honest truth. So, should I continue playing this? I'll play a few more minutes of this, and then I'm probably gonna skip through this tape, and then I might call this a day.
There is no, let's say, if you want smart men, how come the smart women that are in these positions, have these degrees, have these connections, don't have programs for these boys, for their own boys, other boys' boys?
What's up,
asking.
It's good to meet you, man.
Good to meet you.
I emailed you a lot of it. Well, I was looking at Dr. Angela Milner in your area in Anaheim, and I was going to see about the Palmdale Elementary School. They are trying to do those things.
No, they're not.
We're trying to embrace.
No, they're not. I know they're not. You know who one of my good friends is, right?
Who?
Dr. Hiazan Johnson, right?
Okay, yeah.
You know where he teaches, right?
Cal State University's
Fresno State, right?
Yeah.
He gets these boys. He gets these boys in every year. He's been doing this for 22 years, right? Okay, 70% of the boys that even manage to get into college, freshmen. 70% of them drop out. Why is that?
Well, I think that they're in the wrong environment for their. That's why I advocate going to historically black colleges where they have a higher rate of success.
I was at
the type of environment that will allow them to self-actualize. So
let me ask you this, Ray. Let me ask you this, okay? How are you going to get highly functional boys going to make through STEM or anything else like that when you have the average, well, only 10% of your black boys at grade reading level?
Well, let me break this down. That's something that we have to work out. From Manual Arts High School, you've interviewed, I don't know, you've spoken with Dennis Sperling, attorney at law, Manual Arts High School in Los Angeles. Grambling State University degree in chemistry, was able to ground himself, Southern University Law School, and he not only passed the Louisiana bar, the Texas bar, and the Florida. Yeah. That's unheard of coming from that background. So
it's not unheard. It's not unheard of.
It's something very rare.
It's rare. The thing is,
if they're going to Cal State Fresno, they're not even at Berkeley, so we are UCLA now. But the point is, if they're going to schools that are not a match for their personal development, they can go to Southern University A&M and become an engineer and be working for Lockheed Martin. I've seen people do it.
You see they do it, but
Princeton University and join Air Force or Navy ROTC.
Dude. I've been listening to this stuff for freaking 30 years, man. Okay. And you know what? And this stuff has been going on for 100 years. This is not new. Okay. You go back to the Mohawk Conference of 1890. This is designed. Okay. There are ways to do these things, right? But the thing is that what you don't realize is that the people in charge, the women that are supposed to care about their boys, care about their offspring, that do have a chance, do have networks, do have things to do. Have you ever heard of a Black Boys Rock?
Yeah.
How many programs did the black girls have versus black boys?
Right. They don't.
I'm asking.
I'm asking. I'm not familiar with them, but I think that's what we as black people need to do. Then.
How?
We can put black boys.
How are we going to do it?
We're not going to do it saying F a college degree.
That was kind of
do it by not encouraging them to go to STEM.
It does.
We're not going to do it if we're not nurturing them.
If you don't say long before black men, and I'm old enough to know, long before black men says college degree, it was more important to send your girl and get her a college degree than it was your boy, and that's been the same way for a very long time. How can you demand that you have more black males doing this kind of thing when they have to run this freaking gauntlet? Most of your boys start getting picked off at age 5 when they try to shuttle these white dominated schools. They're all white dominated because they're all the same thing. Pretty much they're all the same curriculum. Trying to shuttle them off into special ed before they're even 5. Dr. T.S. Johnson told that story about his son, and now his son, he had a PhD. His son started reading at the age of 3. He could read 700-page books, Harry Potter books, at the age of 6. Okay, they try to shuttle him off in special education. How does that happen?
I'll tell you why that's happening. Because it's all a war strategy, a tactic. And not only a tactic, but you as a black man, you teach it and get your son to basic level of reading, writing, arithmetic in the same de-education school system that is run by pretty much 80% Caucasian women. Yeah, it's going to be lucrative to really find something wrong with the black boy to put him in special education. And we also know this is a business, unfortunately. And like any business, you don't take things too personal. They know what our boys are capable of and their potential. That's why back in the 70s, particularly mid-70s, when schools were completely integrated, and then we were, civil rights came to play after 64 going on 65. After the first 10 years, you know what they did? They say that we can have these same children be on equal playing field with the education. So what's the best way to keep them behind, special boys? You create some called special education, which really came into the picture or was in the works, which was presented and then was put in effect 45 years ago, 1975, 10 years after civil rights. So don't be fooled, people. It's designed to keep you back, to hold your potential. They prefer that you dropped out before you even finish. And God knows, at least a black boy could at least finish high school, at least. But they know that the more that you're able to be and read of level, the less chance they're going to have to put prisons or build more prisons. Because prisons is a business, and they cannot lock you up if you are literate, if you're able to perform at a certain rate. It's hard to lock up people when people are not being dumb, but understand the basics: reading, writing, arithmetic, especially reading and writing. Very difficult to lock up somebody without that. So I'm gonna continue playing this.
We have to be more politically astute. We have
How?
to be men.
How can you do that? How can let him finish? Because
you're not saying F a college degree.
That has nothing to do with it, man. What structure are you going to do before you even get to a college degree? Before you even get there.
Well, that's a bearing of how we're parenting. If you have
no, sir, no, sir, no, sir,
when they're not even developing
no, sir,
with children,
no, sir, no, sir, no, sir. We know what works.
BGS, allow me to jump in here for a moment. Maybe I can redirect Ray to what he's not connecting the dots to.
Yeah.
About 3, maybe 4 years ago, my mother was diagnosed with cancer. Now, I had a house that's big enough to accommodate her, and of the 11 children, I was the only one in a position to accommodate her. Now, my mother's 83. She's what the world would consider to be functionally illiterate. Now, mind you, she had primary control of my primary education. If it hadn't been for foster homes, I would have never achieved the level of success I have. Now, let me go back and preface something. My mother has no idea what it means to be in college. She has no idea what it means to sit up and study for 7, 8 hours a night to achieve passing grades. My mother essentially came from mothers or parents who were slaves. And I think that's what you're missing, Ray, is that the abundance of these black men that are coming into high school and trying to get into college, they don't have that basic foundation to excel. So you're talking about the 12% of men going back and trying to reach that 88% that's left when they have to fight the system, the parents, because it's all predicated on money. And if you don't have the money, you can't hope to change the system. I don't care what it is that you're trying to do. Now, in terms of what Angry Man said, I understand what Angry Man said because I have a brother who thinks the same way. And what we don't allow for in the black community is the blue-collar worker upon which the upper class of black America is founded upon still exists.
All classes.
That's shame.
All classes.
You're talking to someone who grew up with a grandfather who was an electrician. So I respect blue collar.
No. I'm saying the vast majority of black America looks at blue collar workers as if they're as if they really just an afterthought. When something happens, those are the very people who are going to be able to turn what is going. Let's say the power grid goes down. You're not calling a chemist. You're not calling a doctor. You're not calling a scientist. You're going to call somebody that can work a jackhammer, a bulldozer, and a front hoe to dig up the power.
You're also going to call the electrical engineers, the power system engineers that run that from that level as well. So it's going to.
But they're not going to dig. They're not going to dig a place.
Hold on, Ray. Let me ask you this question, man, because I've been.
Before I continue, now I don't think Ray has anything against people that are blue collar, but let's be honest. Majority of men today, because a lot of men on the average are logic, and not saying black men can't go to school, a 4-year degree and get a degree, but this is my thing. If they're not getting a free ride to college, most of all the scholarship, depending on the grades and all that stuff, 90% or let's say 70, 80% of the time, most black men are not going to go straight to college. They're going to go the other route, which is more of the hand labor route, blue collar route, to make their money and wealth. Because not only is potentially lucrative, but you don't get in debt. And that is the difference between the male and female counterparts in regards to how they view of how to make a living for themselves. And I'd agree with the brother said that, you're not going to be calling doctors, lawyers, or etc. You're going to call somebody that's going to go in there, bootstrap in the field to dig up and fix that problem. Right. I'm going to still fast forward this because I'm not going to stay on here long.
Like this for 20 years. How do you think China rose?
Power. Okay. Give me your opinion of how China rose.
In other words, 20 years ago, more than 20 years ago, China since 1995, China had a program to actually train 1 million engineers and 1 million programmers a year. Okay, state sponsored. Okay, it's a state sponsored thing. basically everybody knows if you want to train boys, especially black boys, you have to give them their own single-sex education, and nobody fights for that. And guess who fights against it more than anybody else, more than white people?
I know you say that black women do that.
They do that.
I saw that article on Guardian Cross Academy, a single-sex boys college preparatory school.
How many do you have in this country?
We gotta get more because we're not gonna get more.
Ray, stop talking. Ray, stop talking
at the same time. This is exactly how the emails are that I get.
Say in other words, stop talking for a second for Ray. Okay. First of all, you have to go to your school board and demand it, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You got to go to your school board, demand it. If you want the kind of men that you want in mass quantities, right? You can't wait for a food less than 1% that trickle through that landmine that we set out for black boys from the time that they're 5 years old, and pick off the ones that make it, okay? Because the ones that do even make it to college, like Dr. T.S.I. says, 70% of them have to drop out, okay? Mm-hmm. So you're losing 70% of them.
70% quote have to drop out. Now 70% may be dropping out, but I'm not accepting that.
Well, you don't have to accept anything or accept anything. Those are numbers, sir. You don't have to accept anything. If it was up to you,
successful.
If it was up to you, that when does that work, sir?
If we get them to historic black colleges,
how long we have
get those black boys to historically black colleges, they are more successful, and then they can go to main.
That's not necessarily
true, sir.
Oh God, this dude is stupid as fuck, man. Just because you don't go to the average white, hey, what's good, LaShawn? The white so-called colleges, going to a so-called quote-unquote historic black child college, it will be no different. The results will be no greater, no better. And I'm gonna keep it real with y'all. A lot of people that don't push historic black college, you know why a lot of black people don't push that now in the 21st century or the last century? Is because they know going through a so-called quote-unquote black college where there's black people and maybe possibly black teachers or whatever the case may be, are not gonna get those same jobs on the average with resume if they come from another a college that's predominantly black. On the average. Not saying that they do. Not saying you go to a black college, you're not gonna still get hired, work for IBM or something. Nope. The point I'm trying to say is this. They don't respect you either or on any university, especially when you got from a black college in regards you got this degree in this certain field. And it goes back to get it's not what you know, it's who you know. What network you could find that you could pull from a historic black college right now? And I want people to leave this in the comment section and educate me that you could get a job in those top fields, corporations. That's someone that gone through MIT, Harvard, Yale, or any of those other bigger universities that's white control, which historic black college is, you could say white control because it is funded through the state. Then you can still get the same result in regards to getting employment if people have to work for these people. I'd like to hear from y'all in the comment section on this. Educate me, please. I'm gonna continue to play, and I'm gonna fast forward and then maybe wrap this up.
An example of my
distorted thought.
That's that I gave. I mean, I thought I don't know if I have to say things a certain way, but I don't like having to break stuff down so simple in little tiny ass little bites for everybody to get even in the back of the room. I don't like doing that. When I said what I said, and what I said was I was a TA, a teacher's assistant. You can kind of guess where I'm going. But my students, they didn't even want to stay, male and female, mostly male. This class was 98% black. Okay, just my class. Many of the others are 100% black. This is HBCU in Clark Atlanta University, right there. Okay, right next door to Morehouse and Spelman. Walking distance. We're standing there, and I had the end of the year, and some of the black male students made straight A's in my class. never had straight A's in science, but they made straight A's in my class, and they still switched their major to something else or left. They said, I quit. It's too hard. I'm not doing this. Or I want to do something else. I'm going to switch my major. So they dropped out of STEM. They dropped out of science. They went to law. They went to business. They went to computer. A lot of them went to computer science. They said, forget this. I'm going to computer science. And when many of them found out about the nanotechnology that was going on, the nanotechnology complex that they have at Georgia Tech, they transferred to Georgia Tech. That is
I consider you still being successful. They didn't drop out of college. They changed to a different major that was more interesting, but they're still going to be at level and have an understanding where they can participate in a high.
Give me some numbers. Ray, give me some numbers, man. Give me some numbers.
I don't have the numbers for you.
In other words, you're guessing. Give me some numbers, man. What is the vast majority of students that go to historically HBCUs? Are they male or female?
They're female. Yeah,
they're female.
They're female.
Yeah.
No, it's like 75% female.
Yeah, it's close to
Exactly.
80.
Ain't no 50%. And guess what? Historically,
what point are you making?
In other words, we're not helping the boys get there. They don't get there by themselves. Okay. And you have to have a structure. You have to have a structure that is built to get them there. They don't just come out.
I'm advocating that. Where are we not working together on this? I'm advocating for what.
In other words, you're saying one thing you're basing it on the men, right? Okay, you're basing it on the people that are the permanent underclass of this country and have been so for 300 years. Okay, the thing is, what it comes down to: do black women really want these kind of men?
I believe that educated black women do.
No, they don't.
I've seen that.
Okay, keep saying.
Let me make my point on this, please, John.
Okay.
We've heard women say that they want men at least on their level or above. So you've got more women who are college graduates. They're making these higher incomes. They're paying off their loans. They're paying off their homes. And so they're saying this like on the other hand, we're saying things. Then we can rise to that occasion. We have avenues to do it. We have, as you said, state support. We have financial aid that's available to these guys. They can start at junior colleges. They can start at historically black colleges. As long as they get to that point, and as Nikole has said, even if
let me know when you finish.
As a chemist and they become a computer scientist or an electrical engineer, as long as they are to get an MBA, that's still fine. But what we're saying is that we need to encourage them.
It was about the third week into Kathy's weight loss.
For a college degree.
Okay, great.
You had a conversation with him because I don't know.
Hey, Ray. My advisor a long time ago when I was doing stocks and commodities, right? He said people can say anything, right? But guess what they put their time, attention, and money into? What they really believe in. Okay.
Right.
Who killed when Obama tried to put up my brother's keepers? Who actually killed it?
I understand that the feminists did kill that.
So in other words, hold on a second, Ray, hold on a second. Ray, hold on a second. Okay. So if the women that are at the top that want these kind of guys and know that these kind of guys need to be trained from the ground up, okay, and they have boys, how come the women aren't stepping into the breach and doing all they can to get these kind of boys?
Let me also make this point real quick.
I asked the question, sir.
I'm answering. Give me this moment.
Okay, Ray, don't make it 10 minutes. Okay, don't make it.
My brother's keepers was established. Robert Johnson of BBT, Robert F. Smith, Tyler Perry, P.D. Jakes, all had the type of resources where they could have funded those things.
That's not the question I asked you, sir.
You see that the woman, I agree with you, the women knocked it down. Ray.
The question I asked you was, and I'm going to repeat it. I'm not going to draw it in the crowd, put it back in the classroom, okay?
Okay.
If what you say is those are the kind of men that women want, right? That the smart women want. True?
True.
And they really want these guys, right? And they truly believe in it, right?
Right.
Why are they not trying to do all they can to facilitate it, especially when they have sons?
I think a lot of them are when they have sons. They may be in the minority, but I think they are trying to do that. A lot of women.
No, they're not.
When I grew up,
no, they're not. Prove it.
You can say that for a fact.
Prove it. You think. No, Ray, you think. Prove it.
Let me make my statement, BBS.
Okay.
When I grew up, all my tutors were female. They were my aunts. They helped me.
Oh God, the Maggle. I can see why the brothers create this term, Maggle. I'm not sure who's still watching this, but how long down here, man? Because I don't know if I could continue listening to this. You know, I was kind of glad Nikole had those men came up on the panel and started really asking the man some serious questions. One thing I found out of all this, he mentioned a few men that are, I think, in the billionaire range, and asking why didn't these brothers funded it? But the biggest question I asked that most of these established that still hold on is state funded and sponsored. And the women, yes, they have made the conscious effort to strike it down, because if it's not involving the girls, they don't want nothing solely for the boys. So there right there, there's an entitlement and a very selfish nature in regards to our Black women, or what they want to call Black queens overall, etc. And it proves to the point to the man that doesn't understand that you as a man, you might be able to get what you want, but the overall of Black boys will suffer because of a neglect to put the emphasis of investing more time in the boys to make sure boys come out better. And that's just the bottom line truth. I'm gonna play. Matter of fact, let me keep going. I might skip this. I was supposed to say I was gonna skip it, but I'm going to skip it.
That took me to college campuses were my aunt. Okay? So this thing that Black women don't want, and they were the ones yelling the loudest when I graduated from high school, when I graduated from college and graduate school, because that's their Ray Alexander. That's not, so I know that there are some women tripping, but I know that the women that I grew up with loved me enough to go over my math studies, to go over my English studies, to help me, to take me to karate, to take me to
Ray. That's a personal anecdote. We're talking about the man.
I'm showing you that there are women who want that. They are saying consistently they want it. And so on their level.
So let me ask you this question: all those women that said helped you, did they go down to the school board and help other Black boys do the same thing?
Mm-hmm. Not necessarily. So
why not? Why not?
Own children first?
No. What I'm saying is, you want a mass effort, right?
Well, let me say this. Remember, there was this argument that came up about how.
Were we switching gears?
Hold on. Let me say, on the Black Manosphere a couple years ago about being the cleanup man. So if at least be responsible for your own first, and then you can.
Ray.
All right, I'm gonna fast forward it. That dude just said some dumb shit. Now, what the hell does a cleanup man have to do with the education of Black boys and your aunts that they could have stepped in and said something about? What about the other boys? Damn everything else. That's what I want to know. But I'm not caught up everybody else's time. I'm gonna fast forward to something that he just said, and I'm gonna wrap this up. Let me see. I'm gonna skip to the 4-hour, 10-minute mark.
Hold certain tasks, you have all these different responsibilities. You get paid a salary to do what you're paid to do. You're supposed to do what you're doing as a CFO. If you're not there, who's right? Shit falls apart, it's not your fault. You ain't there. So that goes exactly with a family. A family unit and everything. This is pretty much a business that's running. We're trying to keep things going. If you ain't there, I can't blame you for that. Blame the person who's the supposed CEO, who's supposed to be running everything as a chief executive officer as the mama, but she's inept. She cannot do what she's supposed to do as the CEO. Okay, that's a perfect example. You're gonna run right past that, and you don't have confidence.
You know why? Because here's the problem, Nikole. It's because fellas like him drink the Kool-Aid instead of looking out the window and seeing reality for what it is and not what you want it to be. Number one, how the hell can you blame somebody who's not there compared to the person who has total and unadulterated influence over a child? Think about that. If black women had a problem, didn't have a problem, I mean, if they really saw that they had a problem that your sons have a front row seat to fucking central bookings and not fucking Morgan State. But you don't see that. I mean, goddamn, Dr. T.S.R. Johnson said by the time the average black boy gets to fucking 8th grade, only 10% of them can read on level.
Hey, check this out, Ray. If a single mother, if there's a woman that's in a relationship with a dude, she gets pregnant. By the time the boy turns 5 years old, the father leaves and never comes back. After he gets grown, after the boy gets grown, he becomes the NBA superstar. Who gets credit for that?
The mom will claim credit for that.
The mom will get credit for that. Okay, so if that same boy grows up and becomes a fucking degenerate criminal, why does the father get credit for that?
Because he was absent.
And that's why I'm gonna end it right there. Maggle. So, ladies and gentlemen, what we have learned tonight is the miseducation of this Maggle. As you know, clearly Ray is not well versed of reality. He's going by Eurocentric standard white talking points. Most articles he presented during the hearing of this stream was written by non-black people, particularly maybe female-based, and he's putting it in places on the average black population here in America. I'm telling you personally, it's bullshit, or malarkey, or what you want to call these special words. He did not prove no point. He goes as far as even the last question from AM about if the son comes out good, the mother takes all credit. But if the son comes out bad and she raises boy from 0 to 18, now his blame goes to the father. You cannot make this shit up, people. You just can't make this shit up. I wish I could, but y'all heard it from yourself. So I'd like to thank Miss Nikole Ali for that broadcast she's done. I mean, I've learned a lot. Trust me, honest, I've learned a lot. I'm very disappointed, to be honest with y'all, of this individual coming up and talking about educated men should marry educated women. But the question you should always ask, Mr. Ray, and any brother that thinks this, what type of woman you're getting with this education? Because it's proven evident if you go seek and get that type of woman, 9/10 time is not going to be an educated woman that's in your group. And trust me, there are some sisters with degrees from masters to PhDs, but overall, the men that they're seeking or they contain or possibly get is men that they don't really want on the average, especially if it's from a black man. Not only data might reveal this, but you can see through the men that open their mouth the most about this. It is what it is. There's no way around it. So my answer to that is no. The higher the education man is, the more the women he deals with better be on his program. And if you're a woman and you acting like a complete chick, then obviously you only thing that's gonna happen. You got a degree and you're black as a woman, you better be feminine, respectful, and submissive to any quote unquote educated brother that got degrees and has a very high status, which will make him, depending how he uses education, in level of high tier men. And with high tier men, there are levels to this shit. No mistaking about it. So, this is chaos right here. I thank everybody for tuning into this stream. Like always, comment, subscribe, and like this video. And if you're not following me on Twitter, hit me up on Twitter. I might start being more active on Twitter. We'll see. But that's what it is. So. Let the chaos reign!